What's up, you guys? We are live and answering your questions. And I got a lot of great questions this month, so I'm really stoked to answer these. And let's dive into them. First one, what's the number one most overused coaching cue? I would say that it's good. Without anything afterwards. So what I mean by that is I have a tendency to do this a lot where I really want to let people know that they're doing a great job, usually with their effort, not necessarily with their movement patterns. So I see myself and I see other coaches a lot saying good, but not telling the athlete what was good. And it's usually because they didn't actually see anything. So I think that the word good is probably the most overused coaching cue. And what I would like to see instead is, hey, great job staying in your heels, or good job extending the knee and the hip, great job with the punch overhead. Like just letting them know what they did a good job with, I think is really important. Next question, how do I know if I'm overtraining? Simple. If you're getting more sleep, but you're still not recovering well enough, then you're overtraining. But if as you get more sleep, you feel better, then you're fine. Keep going. Usually it's just an anti-recovery issue, not necessarily um, an overtraining issue. So again, if you feel like you get more sleep and it doesn't help you recover, then you're probably burnt out and it's probably time to take a break. But if you feel like as you get more sleep, you do feel more recovered, then you're probably not burnt out and you can keep going. What's better for aging athletes, strength or cardio? Strength first. We need to keep our bones strong. We need to keep our muscles strong. We need to be fall resilient. And cardio should be happening all the time. And so I think it's more important to up your overall steps every day. So if you don't have a step counter, get a step counter and try to hit 10,000 steps a day while strength training. I think doing those in combination, if you can't do CrossFit, is a great way to go about it. How do I scale workouts without making them too easy? Um, great question. You want to look at basically how fast should you be moving during that movement based off of the stimulus. So what I mean by that is, let's say that you have a workout that's heavy deadlifts and box jumps, for example. Make sure that when you're doing the deadlift, the word heavy means that you're standing up slowly. If you find yourself standing up very fast, that means that you're too light. So go off of the pace of your body, and as the weight gets heavier, your body should slow down. So is it heavy? My body should move slow because these weights are so hard. Is it moderate? Well, my body should move at a moderate pace. Is it light? Then my body should move really fast through these movements, and use the speed of your body movement as a guiding mechanism for the stimulus. Um, how do I build strict strength for pull-ups? Great question. Start with isometrics, then go to eccentrics, and then concentrics. So what I mean by that is start with a chin over the bar hold. If you can't do that, add a band to it, or even put your feet on the ground and then slowly take away the pressure in your feet to a band and then to your body weight. After you can hold yourself with the chin over the bar for about 15 seconds, add in some eccentrics, where from there you start to lower yourself down through the full range of motion and get to the point where you could do about 8 to 10 of those at a time under control without dropping through any part of it. And in combination of that, add in some banded pull-ups and some lat pull downs. So find a lat pull down machine and work on that lat strength and upper back strength at the same time that you're working on that eccentric strength. Hope it helps. What's the best way to track progress besides PRs? I think tracking consistency of workouts is probably the best way. So just get a calendar, and on that calendar, every day you work out, put a big red X. And your goal is to have as many red X's next to each other as they can. Now, after you get 3 high intensity days, the next day should be a low intensity day. So go on a hike, go on a walk, go on a bike ride, do some yoga, something like that, but treat those as an active recovery day and put those in blue. So you should see 3 red X's, 1 blue, 3 red, 1 blue, 3 red, 1 blue. Track that and watch your progress go through the roof. Most of the time, we don't need anything crazy. We just need more consistency actually in the classes and in the gym. How much protein do I really need per day? I feel like this question actually shows up every single time I do these. There's been recent studies that have come out that say 0.75 grams of protein per pound of body weight is a great number to shoot for. Is tracking macros necessary, overrated? Tracking your macros is necessary to do for a period of time so that your eyeball can get calibrated to what good portions on your plate look like. And every once in a while, even myself, you should go back to weighing and measuring just to recalibrate your eye, kind of the same way that a coach should take a seminar every once in a while to recalibrate their brain or their eye on coaching modalities. Same thing here with tracking macros. No, you don't have to do it all the time, but you should do it at least one time so that you can kind of calibrate your eye. What snacks should I eat before or after training? Before you train, you want high glycemic carbohydrates. That just means that if I threw them in a bucket of water, they would dissolve really fast, and a moderate protein source. And then afterwards, you need a protein source and some sort of a carbohydrate source, but try to make it a whole food carbohydrate source afterwards, like a banana or an apple or rice or something that's actual real food instead of like a liquid carb or something like that. Also, if you are more than 20% body fat, um, you technically don't need carbs before or after the workouts. You have carbs on your body that you can actually use. And what I would suggest is actually getting protein pre and post. And then hopefully the exercise consistency has your pancreas secreting glucagon, which is a main hormone that helps you actually turn the adipose tissue back into sugar to be re-released back into the bloodstream while you're doing exercise and you don't have fuel in your bloodstream. So for some people, the pre-carb thing would actually be a prescription that I wouldn't give them. I would say protein pre and post, no carbs until we get below 20% body fat. There is another asterisk to that. If I have an athlete, so somebody who is competing in sports, and let's say that they are over 20% body fat, but that is okay for their sport, like an offensive lineman or something in the NFL or in football, well, then that's a different story. And we would look at getting a carb before and afterwards. So again, it depends, but for the general population, those are my prescriptions. How do I fix late night cravings? Eat enough protein and fiber during the day. That's number one. So if you're not getting in zero point 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight throughout the day, and you're not getting in at least 33 grams of fiber in the day, start there. Most of the time, that is what I see is keeping people from not going for the cravings at the end of the day. And when I do see them up their protein intake and their fiber intake, they just have too much stuff in their belly, basically, and they have these hormones released that tell their brain not to eat more. So most of the time, we're just not eating enough protein and fiber throughout the day. Are supplements worth it? This depends. It's only if the foundation is really good. So if sleep, exercise, and eating real foods are the foundation of what you do, then supplements might help for sure. And I start with fish oil, 3 grams of EPA DHA a day, and creatine, 5 grams a day to start. Great studies about creatine and fish oil, how great it is for for everybody. So those are the only two supplements that I say that almost everybody, and that's almost, obviously talk to your doctor and everybody else that you should talk to before taking any of my advice. But I think that 3 grams of EPA DHA of fish oil and 5 grams of creatine a day would be great. Is fasting good or bad for athletes? So kind of talked about this a little bit earlier when we talked about if you're above 20% body fat or below 20% body fat. So if you're above 20% body fat, then not fasting, but having like a moderate amount of protein before you work out would be good. But it depends. There are some great studies that talk about fasting and working out and autophagy, so getting rid of dead blood cells and that kind of stuff, and it being really beneficial. I think it's more important that you try it see how it affects your results and your recovery. And if it feels good for you, then go for it. Because I know for me, there was a period of time where I felt really good when I would work out fasted, and now I don't feel the same anymore. My body has changed, and I need to have some food in it before I work out. So it depends is the answer, and try it. Is fasting good or bad? Oh, we just did that. How do you balance alcohol and fitness without losing progress? The honest answer to this is that you don't. Alcohol is a poison, and if you're putting poison inside of your body, you should not expect to be able to do that and reap any kind of rewards outside of it. The further I've gotten myself away from alcohol, the last time I had a sip of alcohol was over 4.5 years ago. And I can't imagine going back to it because the more research I do on it and the further I get away from it, the more I realize that, yeah, no, it's just a poison and you should not, absolutely should not drink it. So that's my recommendation is don't drink it. um, which I know is like, for some people, not realistic, and I understand that, but I still hold true to what I say there that alcohol is honestly one of the worst things that you can do in the world to your body. So there's that. How do I improve recovery as I get older? Prioritize sleep, get 10,000 steps a day at minimum, ideally 15 to 20,000 steps a day. And when you are going to train, if you don't have a lot of time, train strength first, and then make sure you're getting those steps on the outside. How can I build a strong core without hurting my back? Great question. There's some great studies. If you guys look up Long Kilgore, he's an amazing anatomy professor, and he has some amazing courses on anatomy and strength training specifically. And in his courses, he teaches you that you can actually engage the muscles that surround the spine internally, so the deep internal core muscles, without actually loading the entire torso. So, what I mean by that is when you do things like deadlifts or back squats or overhead holds, really big compound movements that are very heavy and hard, that forces the internal muscles that surround the spine to contract. And that is actually the only way that you can get those muscles to contract. You cannot do that on your own. So you can't say, ooh, I need to get my psoas muscle to squeeze. The only way you could get the quadratus lumboreums and psoas muscles and internal core muscles to squeeze around the spine is by loading that torso in a heavy lift. So it's why it's so important that we do movements and lifts that that are trying to get us to go into extension and flexion, but we're resisting those things. And that usually comes down to the big ones like the deadlift, the squat, and the press. We need to make sure we're doing those things. Can you do me a favor and make sure that the cold plunge isn't overflowing? Thanks. I'm doing a live Q&A and I just remembered that it was pouring. And I was like, oh God. Um, Next question. How do I calm my nervous system when life gets overwhelming? Well, this is an amazing question that you even know that your nervous system is out of whack when life is overwhelming. It comes down to your breath. When you're overwhelmed, when you're running from a tiger, when you're doing anything that evolutionarily would make us go into a sympathetic nervous state, which is where you're in that fight or flight, um, it's because your breathing pattern is off. So imagine running from something. You would be taking really shallow inhales and really quick, fast exhales, like, and we have a tendency to actually get in those breathing patterns where our mouth is open and we're breathing in this cadence that is just as quick in as it is out. That's just triggering our autonomic nervous system to be in that fight or flight state. So the way you get out of it is by breathing out longer than you breathe in. And that's pretty simple. It's just whatever in breath I take, I want my out breath to be twice as long. If you can get to the point where you're taking 4-second inhales, 6-second exhales, that's ideal. And that'll pull you out of that state. How do I build consistency when my schedule is busy? Oh man, this is just about prioritizing everything. So write down everything you have to do on a piece of paper. Put in the upper left-hand corner the things that are very necessary and that you need to do every day. So like not the things you want to do, but the things that you should do every day. In the upper right-hand corner, put the things that you want to do every day, but don't necessarily have the time to do. In the bottom left hand corner, put the things that like you should do, but you really don't have time to do. And then in the bottom right hand corner, put the rest of the stuff that's on that list. This will help you prioritize the main things. And if you think about it, the upper left hand corner really should just be exercise, sleep, good nutrition, hanging out with family. Those are like the main thing, getting some sun. Those are like the main things that you need to do every day. And on top of that, you're going to have work tasks, you're going to have family tasks, and you're going to have your own tasks that you need to get done. By kind of prioritizing them in that little kind of matrix, it really helps me a lot with not getting overwhelmed. How do I manage stress eating? Like we talked about earlier, eat enough protein and enough fiber. That's step number one. Step number two, make sure that the things that you do eat had a face, came from the ground or from a tree. If you do that all day long, usually by the end of the day, you don't find yourself stress eating. All right, final question. How do you train when your mentality isn't in a good place? When you're mentally not in a good place? Um, this is why it's so important to have habits over motivation. By getting a calendar and putting the red X's and blue X's on it, you're building muscle memory with this thing. By creating a part in your calendar where you go to the gym no matter what that day, even if you work out or not, you just walk into the gym and then maybe you walk out, is building that habit and building that consistency that will lead to more exciting moments of wanting to exercise versus being unmotivated to. Because it's really just through consistency over time that we lead to motivation, not that motivation comes down from fairies out of the sky and then that leads us into consistency. So just know that it's going to suck sometimes. You're not going to want to do it and you still need to go in order to build that good mentality or to be mentally excited about doing this stuff. All right, you guys. Thank you for all the questions that you guys submitted this month. That was super awesome, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. If you guys don't know, I do these every single the first Monday of every single month, and you can find it in our school community. So if you guys look up SKOOL and then West Pyatt, the Academy, you'll find our community of coaches that are from all around the world and are doing things like this, just discussing these topics and learning from each other on that school community. So go check it out and let me know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys next time.